Okay, this is just a quick safety announcement. So as you know, I've been playing with the Creality CR-1-S printer. Printer works great. I just got into some software revisions here and added the Raspberry Pi controller to it. And in the process of doing that, I also found out that this printer, along with the CR-10 and also all its derivatives, the S4 and S5, the larger ones. Not sure about some of the smaller ones like the Enders and everything else like that. And also some other makes of 3D printers have runaway temperature sensing disabled in their firmware. So they all use Marlin firmware, and what the makers did is they disabled runaway temperature protection, meaning that the thermistor that's on the hot end, if something happens that it's not expecting, say it turns the heat on, you want it to rise to 200 degrees Celsius, it's reading 50 degrees Celsius, and that temperature doesn't move, it keeps reading 50 degrees Celsius, it'll sense that and it'll shut the printer down. If it does not do that, that heater will continue to be on, and that temperature will continue to rise and continue to rise and continue to rise, potentially causing a fire. These printers do not have that enabled by default. It is not enabled in the firmware. There are plenty of firmware versions out there, and if you want to get really creative, you can actually make your own firmware by modifying the ones that are in there. The link in the description here is the one that I'm using. He has two versions there. He has the new version of Marlin with the temperature sensing enabled, and also some other things enabled in there. You can read through everything, and he also has the base Creality CR-1-S firmware with just the temperature sensing enabled in there. Once you flash that, just be aware that it is going to change the look of your display somewhat. Mine no longer says Creality on the front of it. But other than that, and some of the icons are a little bit, they're wider space. But other than that, everything else works fine, and it does have that temperature sensing enabled by default. So just be careful, do some research, check with your online, and make sure that you're running with that enabled.